Now, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming you all to be the first person to welcome you all to the second annual State of the City address for the City of Fairmont. Now, I've seen the remarks of the rest of the speakers, so save some excitement for them, okay? Because they'll all thank you too, I'm sure. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our first speaker. When I worked as a reporter for the Times-West Virginian, I was honored to pen a story featuring the first woman mayor to hold the office in the city of Fairmont. At the time, one of her coworkers described her as, quote, having the intestinal fortitude to stand up for what's right. She's proved again and again that she has guts to make hard choices and stand up for what's right, even if it isn't the popular choice. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the mayor of the city of Fairmont, Dr. Ann Bolliard.
Well, good evening. I am the second person that's going to welcome you to the 2026 State of the City Address. And we wanted to thank the Robert H. Mullihan Research Center for hosting our address this evening. The city of Fairmont, as well as the surrounding region, is proud of this impressive research facility. It is a space for several hundred scientists, mathematicians, engineers, physicists, information technology specialists, small manufacturing leaders, all united in the purpose to bring innovation and technology in North Central West Virginia. First, my appreciation to the members of City Council, the elected officials that are with us today, City Department leadership, our amazing city employees, our community leaders, local business owners, and most importantly, the over 18,200 people that call the Friendly City home. Your belief and your tremendous work have been instrumental in what we have accomplished and the work we will continue to do together in and for the city of Fairmont. Because of your partnership and dedication, the city of Fairmont has seen real progress, and there's so much more to be realized in the near future. So I'm going to indulge myself a little bit. I'd like to recognize some of my colleagues on City Council are here this evening. If you would stand to be recognized. Rebecca Moran, who represents District 3. Candy Newsom, District 9. Bruce McDaniel, District 8. Julie Soul, District 7. And District 5, represented by Donna Wade. Many of you know that this week is Teacher Appreciation Week as well as Nurses Appreciation Week. But many of you might not know this week is also dedicated to a different group of professionals, Municipal Clerks Week. I am proud to say in the city of Fairmont, we have the finest city clerk that you will find anywhere, not just the state of West Virginia. For over 3 decades, she has served the city as its city clerk. Ms. Janet Keller, if you would stand so we can recognize and appreciate you. So much of municipal public service happens in the day-to-day efforts by determined people. It's in the challenges that you take on, the decisions you navigate, and the responsibility that you carry. Over time, that work builds something lasting for this city that you serve. But I've also seen that with a diverse perspective, collaboration, and the right support, meaningful progress is always within reach. That belief continues to shape how we approach our work and our partnerships as city council members and also a part of Team Fairmont. I'm a person of many words, but sometimes you have to look to others for inspiration in their words. And President Carter summarized it best in these. I have learned that our greatest blessings come when we are able to improve the lives of others. That is the purpose of our work and service to the city of Fairmont. It is the work of municipal government. This evening, you will learn not only about our work, our successes, our challenges, our partnerships from the past year, but also our path forward, and you will learn from someone who does that hard work, the important work, the challenging work, every single day, every minute, and every second of that day, and that is our city manager, Mr. Travis Blosser, if you will stand and be recognized. person who loves to ask questions and answer them. The top question I'm asked most is, what's going on in Fairmont? And you are going to find that out this evening. I'm also asked, what does a mayor do? This week I was asked by a small group of students, are you more important than president? Are you the boss of everything? I am not. Also, pepperoni rolls, my answer to that is sticks, not slices, and that's not a point in which I am willing to negotiate or change my point of view. And what do you eat on your hot dog? The spicier the hot dog sauce, the better, and never slaw. But I also talk about a city where we can build deep connections, have many places and spaces to enjoy, where some people can live out their dream and start a business, and where you can come and call the friendly city your home. Another person that calls the friendly city home is Mr. Jim Eastup, and it's my pleasure to introduce this leader in business and industry. Jim is the president and chief executive officer of the High Tech Foundation. For over 2 decades, Jim has led this organization's effort to help expand the knowledge sector in north central West Virginia. A major part of that mission has been the development of the I-79 Technology Park, which serves as a tool for recruiting federal operations that provide contracting opportunities for the technology business communities. The High Technology Foundation has had great success in recruiting several federal agencies, including the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or more effectively and affectionately known as NOAA. These NOAA operation alone is a great example and have created exciting opportunities for our community's future, and Jim's dedication continues to make these opportunities a reality. Jim, if you'll join us on the stage.
Thank you, Ann. I'm a little intimidated. I didn't write a speech, but my job tonight is simply to welcome you all to the I-79 Technology Park and to our research center. And I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank Travis and his team for having this event here. I always really embrace and look forward to the opportunity to have people from the community come here, see the facility, and just to visit with everybody. And I also, of course, love it that I have so many dear friends that's in this audience tonight. I don't get to see a lot of you very often, but I've been able to see you tonight, and that's really a bonus for me. When I came in, and again, I didn't write a speech, but I'm going to talk a little bit. I've had several folks ask me about a lot of the construction and development that you've been seeing here in the park. A few years ago, and as Ann mentioned, we have the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, who has a big operation here. A few years ago, they designated the park to be the place where they're going to develop all of their artificial intelligence, or I should say all artificial intelligence systems for the agency, which was a huge designation for the park and for that matter for Marion County, to support the supercomputing systems, the advanced data center systems that are going to be needed to build that AI system out. NOAA launched about a year and a half ago a $300 million infrastructure improvement project for this facility and around the facility, the building's infrastructure. Right out the back here, you probably noticed when you came in, or you've driven by it in the past, when it came time to decide where we were going to put all of the new supercomputers that were going to be needed to build AI products and to provide the AI products to the internet and to cloud service providers, we thought about maybe building an addition onto the building, if you can believe that, or what other strategies we could deploy. And we came to the conclusion with NOAA that the best strategy was to use the new technology of modular data center systems. So over the last year and a half, we've been excavating this large pad back here you see, and putting all the power and the cooling and everything in that pad so that we can put these modular systems on that pad. and then we will put the supercomputers in the modular data centers. Now, we're almost done with the first modular system here, and that's going to support the first AI supercomputer that's going to be coming to Fairmont in about 2 months or so. The computer's name's RHEA, R-H-E-A. Is going to be one of the most advanced AI supercomputers on the planet, and it's going to be right here in Marion County. So I take pride in that, but I think all of you should as well. And I think, you know, it's been written about in the paper, but I don't think a lot of people realize that that's happening. Now, over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to be bringing in additional supercomputing systems to run this big AI enterprise. And for those of you who probably aren't following the evolution and the growth of artificial intelligence, and specifically this thing they call agentic AI, it's transforming every business, every sector, every industry you can think of in ways that I've never seen before. I don't think anybody ever has. And it's creating trillion-dollar economic opportunities. And it's really interesting because this technology, in some ways, is creating a new playing field for areas that haven't been able to get into the advanced technology world before. It's creating new environments. And I'm really excited about the potential that we have here in Marion County to maybe become an anchor point to that. I wrote an article recently for the State Journal that was published a couple weeks ago, I think, Andy, in which I talk about this gravitational effect that agentic AI is having. And what we're building here is very unique in the country, and I think positions us to maybe bite off a piece of that trillion-dollar market share. And that's very exciting to me. And as this continues on, I'm going to need to work very closely with the county, with the city, and all kind of other stakeholders in the region to try to make that a reality. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, Travis, your team, the county, Linda, everybody, who've always been such a great collaborator and a great partner, because we have a chance to do something possibly transformative in the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm really excited that I'll be working with all you guys to do that. So thank you again. Welcome to the park. Have a great evening. Travis, thank you.
And thank you again, Jim. I'm always blown away by the investment and the progress happening here in the high-tech park, so thank you for sharing some of that progress with us this evening. Our next speaker, she's no stranger to the stage. In fact, it wasn't long ago that she and I were dancing in cowboy hats in Wellman Hall Theater at Fairmont State. You didn't bring any props tonight, did you, Danny? No? Okay, good. Well, in any case, it's my pleasure to welcome our next speaker, the President of the Marion County Chamber of Commerce, Danny DeVito.
Thank you, David, and good evening, everyone. As David said, I'm Danny DeVito, and I am proud to serve as the president of the Marion County Chamber of Commerce. It is an honor to stand before you tonight as we gather for something bigger than any one project, role, or moment. Tonight is about our story, who we are, where we've been, and where we're going together. Now, I am proud to go on record to say that I love Team Fairmont. In a time where it feels the world is constantly trying to divide us into sides, into opinions, into us and thems, there is something incredibly powerful about choosing a different approach. Choosing to think, act, and move forward as one team. Because that's how real progress happens. Thinking of ourselves as one team instead of factions is how things get done. If you're on a team, credit comes second. A team win is your win. It's my win. It belongs to all of us. It doesn't matter who scored the winning goal because we all win. That mindset of shared ownership is what makes Team Fairmont work and what makes it so special. Over the last year, I've used 3 words to motivate the direction the Chamber is headed: community, collaboration, and growth. And when I think of what Team Fairmont means to me, it's just that. Team Fairmont isn't a slogan, it's not a campaign, it's not something that you print on a banner and forget about. It's people, it's our community. Our community of small business owners who unlock their doors every morning, not just to make a living, but to create a place where neighbors feel welcome. Our community of city employees who show up day in and day out, oftentimes behind the scenes, making sure our streets are safe and our services run smoothly. They keep our community moving forward. Our community of the volunteers who give their time, their energy, and their hearts without ever asking for recognition. Our community of educators, first responders, nonprofit leaders, families, young people, every single one of you in this room, each playing their part in big and small ways, whether anyone is watching or not. That is what community looks like. But true community must be met with collaboration, because collaboration is what turns a bunch of individuals into a team. A real team isn't made up of people who all think the same or agree on everything, and we all definitely don't. It's made up of people with different strengths and perspectives and skill sets, all working toward one shared goal. And yes, like any great team, we won't always agree. We won't always get it right, but we will show up, listen, and care. Because Team Fairmont is about all of us wanting what's best for the city that we live in and moving together forward. When it comes to teamwork, I'm not sure that there's someone who does it better than our city manager, Travis Blosser. Travis lives and breathes Team Fairmont. He embodies it. He strives to make Fairmont better every single day and is committed to a vision of what Fairmont can be. Travis doesn't care about the credit, he cares about the results. He focuses on solutions, not spotlights. He brings people together. He builds the right teams. One of the things I respect most about Travis is his honesty. He's transparent, not just about our successes, but more importantly, about our challenges. He doesn't shy away from hard conversations. Travis doesn't tell you what you want to hear, he tells you the truth. And that kind of leadership is the kind that builds trust. Travis Blosser represents something truly special and a little rare in government leadership today. A leader who not only understands this city, but loves it, believes in it, and has chosen to dedicate his career to its success. Travis is not just managing a city. He's helping move it and us forward with vision, energy, and a deep-rooted passion for the city that he calls home. And if that's not what Team Fairmont is all about, then I don't know what is. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce my friend and our city manager, Mr. Travis Blosser.
Good evening, everybody. Come on, good evening. Don't make me have to carry this on my own. I'm pleased to welcome you here this evening and extremely excited for our second annual State of the City Address, something that I think we all hope at City Hall will continue to be a tradition in this city, highlighting the amazing progress from across the city, the region, and the state. This is also an incredible opportunity for me as the city's chief executive to deliver commentary on what our community is facing, the issues we're addressing, and the problems we're working to solve in our community. Really want to take the opportunity to thank you, Danny, for your very warm words. As I shared with her, when I got the opportunity to at least get a little bit of glimpse here earlier from them, they brought a little bit of tear to my eye. It has been wonderful and refreshing to work with somebody so enthusiastic and engaged about the progress we're seeing in our community. And I'm someone who believes that we need that kind of leadership on all levels, and appreciate you very much, Danny. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the dignitaries we have here this evening and to thank them for their participation, partnership, and most importantly, their friendship. And so if you'll bear with me, and if you would, hold your applause. I do have a fairly big speech here. And so I'd like to get you home all at a decent hour. If you'll hold your applause until the very end. These are just some of the people here tonight who make what we do at the City of Fairmont possible. First, to our members of City Council, Councilor Moran, Councilor Newsom, Councilor Wade, Councilor McDaniel, Councilor Soul, and Mayor Bulliard. Thank you. You are the governing body of this city, and I truly could not do this job without your support, leadership, and willingness to tackle difficult issues together. The progress we're celebrating tonight and the hard work we plan to take on is a direct reflection of your commitment to Fairmont. I also want to recognize the president of Fairmont State University, Dr. Mike Davis, who is here this evening with us as well. Our partnership is incredibly important to the future of our community, and I'm grateful for the collaboration and shared vision that we continue to build together. To the members of the West Virginia Legislature who are with us this evening, Senator Mike Oliverio, Senator Joey Garcia, Delegate Guy Ward, and Delegate Phil Mallow. Thank you for your partnership and advocacy. Your support is essential to helping communities like Fairmont move projects forward and create opportunities for our residents. Every time we turn to you for your support, you're ready for what's asked of you. I also want to recognize, and I'm sure she wasn't prepared for this evening, Chrissy Michael with Mon Power, who has been instrumental in our new light conversion program and a fantastic partner throughout that effort. If you need an example of how that project's working, I'd just tell you to take a drive down Speedway Avenue tonight on your way out of here, and you'll see that light conversion firsthand. And one of the second to last people I want to recognize is Earl Gaskins with the West Virginia Division of Highways. He also probably wasn't prepared for this evening, but Earl, you and I have taken a few beatings together along the way, but you have become an outstanding partner who I know generally cares about getting things done. And you have been a vital part in helping us improve this community through millions of dollars in infrastructure investment. I know firsthand you're not fully responsible for all of those funds being prioritized for Fairmont, but you're a big piece of it, and I think people need to know how important of an asset you are to this area. Finally, I would like to recognize, and I think, to be quite frank, she outranks all of you dignitaries here in this room, my niece Rory, who's here with us this evening, who is probably the greatest dignitary in the room tonight. Being her uncle is one of the greatest joys of my life, and I'm glad she's here with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please give those folks a round of your applause. I did this last year, and I'm also going to do it again, except I'm going to add some more to it. I'd like every city department head and city employee in the room to please stand. And it's not optional. I know who you are. Please stand. Give them a round of applause. This job becomes incredibly difficult if it's done without the support and partnership of the people you work with, who have the same vision for the future of our region. So I really want to take the opportunity to each and every one of you, every city employee, department head, thank you for the work that you do every single day for this community. You're the reason this community is making progress and building momentum. Not me, you. And I want to thank you again for your leadership in this community. You know, Danny mentioned it, and I think one of the things I'm becoming best known for is the idea I like to share of Team Fairmont pretty consistently. I know there are some folks with some strong opinions of it, both positive and negative, especially in social media world. I know that to me, Team Fairmont isn't some exclusive club or secret society. Team Fairmont is anyone in this community who has an interest in real progress. I don't decide who is and isn't a member of Team Fairmont. I think it's up to each individual to either get off the bench and contribute to the team or stand on the sidelines. And as many of you well know, the people on the sidelines sometimes often think that they know better than the people on the actual field. That was the moment David expected some laughing from you all. I want to thank two individuals who I believe consider themselves to be members of Team Fairmont. First, Mayor Bulliard, thank you. Thank you for your leadership in our community, for your warm welcome at the start of this event, and for your tireless work for our people. You are the perfect example of what it means to be a member of Team Fairmont. Ladies and gentlemen, your mayor. I also want to take my opportunity to also thank Jim Estep, who I think embodies the kind of leader who puts his head down and does the quiet, thankless work that builds us a secure and prosperous tomorrow. Thank you for sharing the success of the West Virginia High Technology Foundation and for hosting us in this amazing facility this year with a wonderful view overlooking just one of NOAA's massive investments in Fairmont and in this facility. Ladies and gentlemen. But I think it's fitting that I stand up here looking over a project in progress because a key theme in my remarks this evening will be just that, progress. In last year's State of the City address, we showed that the foundation of a great city has already been laid. I challenge this community to dream big and envision a future that we can only build for ourselves. Tonight I issue that challenge once again, as we stand on the edge of moving Fairmont from a good city toward a great city. But I know that it can be hard for this community to dream big. Growing up in this town, I understand that this community has a complicated relationship with its leaders. Now, being in the seat of leadership myself, I understand that relationship more than most. I understand that this complicated relationship can be found in cities across this state, and communities that feel that their leaders aren't delivering on expectations. I know how hard it is to watch decline take hold in your home, feeling powerless against forces much bigger than yourself, and looking for someone to shoulder that blame and take responsibility. But what I can tell you is that those late leaders who came before us in the roles of leadership in this city had grand visions of our future, and my remarks at that time articulated that. They came at the challenges facing this community with the best of intentions, just as we leaders do today. This isn't an easy job, and nobody said it would be. One of this job's difficulties is that many of those big ideas get hamstrung by economic factors, budget shortfalls, and certain parties who are more interested in a pat on the back than in creating any real prosperity for this community. I want to highlight that difference for you because I think it's incredibly important. Because there were leaders in this community in years past who did the hard, quiet work and received little thanks. But they are very different from those who still to this day stand at podiums and harp on pending deals and drawings for nothing more than a stroke to their ego and a flashy headline in the next day's newspaper. It's unfortunate, but the latter of those two types of leaders is often more remembered. And this community has a very long memory. And this community, this city, has endured trauma. I understand it. I've lived it. Because of that, I refuse to stand at a podium and preach about the maybes and the probabilities, and tonight will be no different. We have enough going on that I don't feel the need to make anything up or to embellish our accomplishments with some what-if scenarios. I've said it publicly before, but I refuse to be that leader who stands before a crowd and talks about projects and opportunities before it ever materializes, because all that does is build false hope. I'm only interested in building real hope. But with the long memory this community has, it's easy to get sucked into a negative mindset. We saw it happen when the closure of Novellus was announced in March of last year. The narrative buzzing around the community was one instantly of doom and gloom. Yes, the prospect of losing 200 jobs in our community is not one that I or any other member of city leadership takes lightly. But we cannot allow something so completely out of our control to stop our world from turning. When Monongah Glass closed, Fairmont kept running. When Owens in Illinois closed, Fairmont kept running. When Phillips Lighting closed, Fairmont kept running. And despite what some may think, when Novellus closed, Fairmont kept running. I'm not going to deny that that announcement was a blow to this community. It was an awful shock that affected hundreds of families. But you don't rise, you don't grow, you don't change by weeping into your hands. The choices made in those moments are what define communities. I believe that our response to that horrible news defined our community. Today, Fairmont finds itself on the rebound, but that memory can get in the way of seeing progress that's right in front of us, literally right in front of us. My relentless optimism for this city doesn't come from a place of complacency. It comes from a belief that we'll only get the community we deserve when we start to believe that we deserve it. The determination of our community and our leadership contributed directly to the news of the former Novellis facility being acquired by Keybar Americas. I encourage any of you to drive out to Prime 6 and see the massive investments taking place in the old Phillips lighting plant right on our borders. Look at the opportunity right here on the doorstep of this high-tech park. Now listen, I'm not saying we should celebrate as if our problems have disappeared, but I am saying that we can take a victory lap. But some of these issues we face today take more than leadership, they take collaboration. For too long, we've battled uphill against regional powers far greater than us. We've been vying for funding and for attention against areas with hundreds of thousands or millions more people than we have. We have to understand we can't go it alone. We can't continue to act like there's a wall around this county and the only thing, and if it doesn't land in Fairmont, it's a loss for our team and a win for another. We need to band together as a region so we can punch above our weight class. Because what we're doing now isn't working. I wish I could credit our economic development efforts with the big, huge wins like Prime 6 and Keybar Americas, but that would be a bold-faced lie. It's frankly shocking to me that real change hasn't already taken place, that we haven't taken a regional approach to economic development. Just look at the development happening at the North Central West Virginia Airport. That airport wouldn't have the development it boasts without the buy-in from both Marion and Harrison counties. That could be the story across our region. First, here at home, we need better collaboration between all our local levels of government. Collaboration from city to city and city to county. Then we need collaboration that expands across our borders into our neighboring counties. Once we have a better approach to economic development, then we can expand our collaboration between public and private, leveraging relationships with our local businesses to bring more prosperity, jobs, and opportunities to the region, not just Fairmont. Because what's good for the region is good for Fairmont. When you have a major corporation like First Energy that is stepping up its economic development involvement, they don't want to work with 100 different entities on one development opportunity. They want one organization they can go to and get the work accomplished. It's high time for Marion and Harrison counties, for Fairmont, Clarksburg, Bridgeport, and all the other municipalities to join together and move in one direction that's best for the entire region. We can disagree on the route that we take, but the destination must be shared prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the front lines of a conflict that will determine the future of our home. We're waging war against systemic crises that threaten our very existence. Substandard workforce participation, the opioid crisis, and economic stagnation, just to name a few. But no one is forcing us to face these struggles alone. Our neighbors to the north, south, east, and west face these very same challenges. They face these same threats to their existence. So why then have we chosen to do battle alone? Certainly not for the dignity of our city. No, I think it's been done for the sake of the egos that would be bruised if the credit for victory had to be shared. It's been done because of the fear that some grand opportunity would be stolen from Fairmont and handed to one of our neighbors instead. But the reality is, that's already happening. Companies don't look for communities in a vacuum. They look for people who work together, who have one shared mission. The companies we want here, the ones who don't just employ but invest in our people, that's what they're looking for. They look for regional partnerships, not just in the abstract sense, but in the concrete sense. Regions that partner together in tangible investments like infrastructure, roads, utilities, and other services. And just like we can't go it alone in the battle when it comes to economic development, we can't look at the challenges we face in our utility system as a burden we can take on alone. Utilities are something that the average resident doesn't think about until the water stops flowing, the toilet stops flushing, or the drain backs up. And for us in this city's government, it's easy to take that same posture. It's easy to avoid touching rates because everything's working fine. I'll be frank, that's been the posture of this city for far too long, specifically on the wastewater side of our utility. Our wastewater treatment plant was constructed in the 1980s, and it hasn't received any major upgrades since it was constructed. Most of the mechanisms in that plant are calculated to have a 20-year life cycle, and we're approaching year 45. If you visit that facility, the walls are lined with awards from the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection for our compliance rates with environmental standards. But we don't win those awards anymore. We're consistently still within our compliance standards, but were it not for the tireless work of our operators and the institutional knowledge that they bring, we'd likely be handed stacks of fines from the same organization that once praised that facility. Where the city has focused in the last several decades is on water filtration. And our E. Bruce McDaniel Water Treatment Complex is the envy of the state in terms of its output and functionality. We focused on water because water is sexy. Sewer isn't sexy. It isn't sexy, but it's necessary. Last month, I read a post on Facebook that was attached to a video of one of our combined sewer overflows puking into Buffalo Creek. And yes, that is a technical term, Mayor. When we receive a rain event, our system takes on an influx of water. Sometimes that water is too much for the plant to handle. Rather than allow the wastewater to back up into homes, our system is designed to allow the excess to, again, puke into the river. I have to tell you, I agree with that resident's sentiment. I don't want to expel sewage into the river. I want our waterways to be clean and pristine, but that's going to take some major upgrades. During last year's State of the City address, I pointed out that we have around $200 million in improvements that need to be made to get our wastewater treatment plant into a healthy state. Since then, we've turned that ballpark number into a comprehensive phase project. The first phase, which will address many of the aging pieces and parts of our plant, is estimated to cost $108 million. The hard truth, though, about that price tag is that with the current rates our customers pay, our entire budget, all $5.7 million of it, could hardly afford the interest for that bond on that amount of money. We have some of the lowest wastewater rates in the state. And due to the way grants and low-interest loans are handed out through state agencies, our rates are too low to qualify us for assistance. No one wants to pay more for utilities. I don't either. I pay a bill every other month just like everybody else. But we need to take ownership of these issues before it's too late. Our neighbor down the road, Worthington, is a prime example of where we could end up. And to be clear, not tomorrow, not next year, but slowly, we'd creep into a situation where we're forced to make these same improvements, and a rate increase in that scenario would be mountains more than what we will end up planning to propose. Let me present you another hypothetical. We at the city are frequently approached by West Virginia American Water, the private water provider that supplies municipal water in much of the southern half of the state. We could call them up tomorrow, sell off our water and wastewater systems for a massive payout to the city's coffers. That's millions of dollars we could spend on sidewalks, parks, streets, you name it. They'd come in here, they'd do the same improvements to our wastewater treatment facility, they'd replace lines, hell, they'll fix issues we didn't even know we had. It seemed like the deal of a century. And then they'd propose their first rate increase. And all I can tell you is those are deals that can't be undone. We could pass the buck and act like it's not our problem. We could have millions of dollars in capital to spend, but we'd be mortgaging it on the backs of our residents. The rates we plan to propose will be peanuts compared to what American Water would charge. That would be the easy path. I refuse to take the easy path. I owe it to this city, to this community, to do the hard, unpopular work required to deliver the services we promise our customers. Companies like West Virginia American Water answer to shareholders and Wall Street bankers. We answer to you, to your neighbor on a fixed income, to the family that has to choose between paying a bill and buying groceries. You are our shareholders, and we owe it to you to take the harder of the two paths. We owe it to you to exhaust every avenue of funding we can find. I just got back from Washington, D.C., where I and members of my team met with Senator Capito, Senator Justice, and Congressman Moore to request $10 million to pay for a portion of that $108 million project. We're seeking a large grant from the Economic Development Administration to improve redundancies in our water system. We plan to continue to seek every state and federal dollar we can get our hands on. But ladies and gentlemen, I've got to be very upfront with you. At the end of the day, we're still face to face with the reality that if we tally up all the necessary improvements in our utility landscape, we're approaching $1 billion of improvements, and that is a mountain that we cannot overcome without increases to our rates. But I'm standing up here today telling you this because we can get ahead of this problem before we're forced into a position and the fixes can't be delayed any longer. There will come a day when we stop meeting those environmental standards. There will come a day when the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection starts stacking fines and your rates will pay for them. Then those fines will turn into mandates and we'll be forced to do the same work we're already proposing, but with the added costs of fines and a slew of reprimands from state and federal agencies. We can argue about the actions and priorities of past leadership. Hell, I know that the next generation is going to argue about my priorities. But the fact still remains that we now have the opportunity to get ahead of these issues before it's out of our control. The easier path for me would be to ignore these issues and do nothing but approve Band-Aid fixes on a system that needs a complete overhaul. And the truth is, this city council and I will be long gone before that comes back to bite this city. But again, we owe it to you, to this city, to take the harder path. This $108 million project is just one of many utility and infrastructure projects we're embarking on, and I think we're beginning to prove that local government can multitask. We've recently bid out the construction of a grant-funded $17 million stormwater system improvement to Morgantown Avenue, where the Father's Day floodwaters, as we can all remember, were several feet deep. We're continuing to build our strong relationship with the West Virginia Division of Highways to make state-maintained routes in Fairmont priority for resurfacing. This summer, the Gateway Connector will receive long-awaited milling and paving, and East Park and Speedway Avenue are next on the list. Thanks to our partners at the West Virginia DOH, we're delivering millions of dollars in asphalt improvements inside our city limits, including complete resurfacing of vital roadways, accessibility improvements to our sidewalks, and ensuring our residents have a smooth way to travel, be it by car, bike, scooter, or foot. Partnerships like these pay dividends for our city. While some may think the best way to earn political wins is by yelling the loudest, our team is showing that friendships go much further than arguments. Ladies and gentlemen, I've tried that approach before. And I've learned the hard way that you can't strong-arm cooperation. It has to be mutual. A great example of that type of partnership and the difficulty to build it is in the announcement we made last week alongside Fairmont State University and First Exchange Bank to demolish and remediate several properties along Locust Avenue that were impacted by the Father's Day flood event. You know, it is a sensitive subject to broach with organizations, especially when you're asking a bank to take a loss on property and for the university to pony up all of the needed revenue to make that project a reality. But thanks to the relationships that we've built and the city playing the role as an intermediary, both parties saw the deal that was on the table. And it didn't take long for them to move forward. And to be quite frank, the party who wasn't always at the table, but was for each individual organization, the members of the community, the students at that university, those are the ones that will benefit the most from that change. This remediation project goes hand in hand with our 2026 application through the Build Planning Program, which, if awarded, would give us federal dollars to reimagine the Locust Avenue corridor. Locust Avenue is one of the most important corridors in our city, connecting the university, WVU Medicine Fairmont Medical Center, MVA Clinic, and over 6,000 residents that call that neighborhood home. But we also know it has significant infrastructure issues that need to be addressed. The removal of blighted structures, beautification, and the creation of public spaces are happening all across our city. The best example, though, for me, without a doubt, is the exciting progress happening on Momentum Adventure Park on the site of the former Fairmont Box Factory. We're continuing to plan for the bidding out and the financing of that project, which, when complete, will be the single largest recreational development our city government has ever completed and will serve as Fairmont's official gateway to the state's massive trail network and open our city up to the billion-dollar tourism economy we've been missing out on. But we're not just making tangible improvements to our city, we're building easier systems for our residents and businesses. City Council recently approved a total overhaul to our business licensing system, slimming down the total number of possible license categories from 90 to just 15. Though these old categories could vary on confusing factors like the number of pool tables in a bar, and to some licenses costing hundreds of dollars just to operate a bowling alley. We've reduced all that confusion to just 14 alcohol-related licensures and 1 general business license. No confusion, no technicalities, just 1 license. But it also wouldn't be fair for me to stand up here and act like we're doing everything right either. We're still ironing out issues with the distribution of our opioid settlement funds, and we're taking lessons we've learned and public feedback seriously to make sure these funds see their highest and best use. As we continue to make changes to complex systems in our city, we hope you'll give us grace and work with us as we make these big transitions as smooth as possible. Over the next several months, we will embark on the implementation of drastic changes to our downtown parking, from a fee-based meter system to free parking with enforced time limits. This is something our downtown business owners have been asking for years, and we're happy to say that it is finally on its way. Alongside that change will be the implementation of a fully reworked sign code, replacing our existing confusing code with something much more streamlined, modern, and accessible. All of these changes pave the way for the creation of our 2028 comprehensive plan that will drive the vision of Fairmont for the next decade. And we need every member of Team Fairmont to contribute to that vision, no matter how small you may think that contribution may be. Yes, Fairmont faces some challenges, but we can overcome them through the leadership we have at all levels in this community. That is where we set ourselves apart, because it takes leadership to make these choices. As we embark on these changes, we need leaders who are ready to make the tough decisions, especially when those decisions are unpopular. I wouldn't be acting like the leader the city needs if I didn't call out the fact that there are members of our community, those who have done their share of thankless work, who have sat themselves on the sidelines. And it pains me to say this, but that describes some folks in this very room. I don't fully know your reasoning, and I don't need to. But I have to imagine it's because you feel that your hard work has been ignored. If that's you, I want you to hear this message from me clearly. We need you in the game now more than ever. Just as I stated at the start of this speech, today we continue this new standard of governance. Today we continue to break the cycle. Today I ask you to join me and look toward the future that's already on its way to us. Today I can say with confidence that the state of our city is resilient, not by chance, but by the choices we've made and the hard path we've chosen to take. No more delusions of grandeur, but only the grandeur we build for ourselves. No more half-baked saviors, only leaders with the courage to do the hard work of real momentum. It is up to us to band together, to create the community that we deserve, to build the city and the region, the state that we've been promised since the first heap of coal was dug from our ground. And I know Fairmont is the city with the grit, determination, and willpower that can ignite this dream to reality. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for believing in the progress that we are delivering. And thank you for being members of the greatest team I could ask for, Team Fairmont. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. That's the conclusion of our program. Feel free to stay and chat for a little while. We still have food over there. Feel free to take some with you if you want. But thank you all for coming out tonight. Have a good evening.